WBOK 1230 AM. I'm Will Sutton, and with me right here is Chief Eddie Compass, also known as Poppy.
That's my favorite name. Love my grandkids.
All right. Well, you're hearing our voices already, bright and early on WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning show. It is 7:03 AM. Hopefully you don't have to be there for 7:05, but 7:15, if you're in good shape, you're already up, showered, dressed, or maybe you do that at night. Well, maybe you don't get dressed at night. And you might have your things together on the way out the door. If you got 10 minutes, then, you might make it. You might make it. But as always, we like to remind you that as you're heading out, whether it's to your bridge appointment or your dental appointment or your health and fitness appointment or your work or whatever, we want you to do what out there on those streets?
Slow down and watch out for the kids.
Watch out for the kids. Slow down. Watch those school zones, folks. Watch those school zones because they will get you. Those cameras are quick.
Oh, and they don't play.
They're quick.
And they're very expensive.
It's quite a technology because they catch you like, here's your car, and then let's make sure you understand, here's your plate. We got all the shots and all the angles. So, woo. But we've got quite a day ahead on the Good Morning Show. And we had quite the day yesterday with a number of things taking place. And one of those was Mayor-elect Helena Moreno making more moves to get her set up, as she has been saying, to be ready to go on day one. That's January 12th. Day one on January 12th when she is sworn in. So that will be her first day as mayor. It will not be a full day just because of the timing of the swearing in. But she's getting in gear, and she announced yesterday that she's ready to get the transition team going. And, of course, we told you yesterday that you can keep up with her updates and also keep up with the what jobs are available at newdirectionnola.com, newdirectionnola.com. And I want to say this about that. This was a tough campaign. There's no question that the Moreno campaign ran a really awesome campaign to win and not to get into a runoff, to win. And they did it. And it's very convincing with the work that they did and how things turned out for that campaign. But there are quite a number of us who have been hurting. We've been hurting. Yeah. We've been hurting because in some cases, yes, there are people who don't like Helena Moreno for whatever reason. But there are a bunch of folks who they like her, okay, or they even like her a lot. But they really wanted to see a black mayor. They really wanted to see Royce Duplessis be the younger, fresher face, or they really wanted to see Councilman Oliver Thomas get in there as an elder statesman of not just the black people, but of this city of New Orleans, and bring all of his knowledge and his experience, because we know he could do better for the city. So campaigns can be rough and tough. Sometimes the clarity about a front runner is so clear that people kind of pay attention, but they assume that's going to be the way it turns out. But people hung in there. Those who were really engaged, they hung in there, and they fought hard for their candidates. And there were people who fought hard for their candidate, Helena Moreno, really hard, really hard. The win turned out to be not marginally in favor of Helena Moreno's favor, but convincingly in her favor. And I'm pointing this out because I hope that we can give each other some grace, give each other some space, give each other some time, and understand, like so many wounds, um, it takes time for that wound to heal. I mean, you might get a cut, a small cut, and that one small cut is still healing weeks later, and it's a small cut. But in other cases, it might be a broken bone, or it might be something that is hurting, has hurt, some part of your inner body, and that hurts a lot more, and it takes a longer time to heal. Um, I am confident that the city will move forward and that the city will do better. And with the city council that the voters decided to return a base of city council already in, with Leslie Harris unchallenged, and with J.P. Morrell getting more than 65,000 votes, and with Freddie King being returned overwhelmingly, and with Eugene Green being returned overwhelmingly. That is a core on city council of people that Helena Moreno has worked with, hasn't always agreed with, but she's worked with them. And we've got two undecided races in District A. We've got Holly Freeman and Amy McCarron. One of them will be the successor to Joe Giarrusso. And we have in District E had quite a field of candidates, and we have a runoff with State Rep Jason Hughes and former council member for that district, Cindy Wen. There will be new members of council, but the voters said we like what we have, and we want to elevate Helena Moreno to mayor. I've talked to so many people during the campaign and since the election. I know people are at different places, but one of the things that happened yesterday was Mark Morial was in town, and he urged unity. And it's a lot easier for a winner to urge unity when you're in a tough battle and you lose. And I never played sports at any significant level, but I have family members and friends who did, and it's rough talking to them right after a game or right after a meet. I mean, it's rough. It's rough. And so I hear Mayor President Mark Moriwell urging unity. I agree with that in principle, but I think this campaign has been a rough one for a lot of us.
Well, a lot of campaigns, after it's over, you have a political embroglio. It was very disputative, very argumentative, and a lot of commercials and things that were said. But when you get right down to it, you have to palliate and mollify, the pain. Because at the end of the day, we're all citizens of this city, and we all want to go forward. The people that supported Councilman Thomas and Senator Duplessis, they are very, very loyal to those individuals, and they were very, very adamant about getting them in place. Well, they didn't win. So it's going to be incumbent upon Councilman Thomas and Senator Duplessis to bring their people to the table, to let them know that we are a city that needs everybody to the table. President, Mayor-elect Moreno, I think she has a lot of people that supported her in the African American community that are very experienced at bringing people together. that are very respected and are very influential. And I think that she's built a coalition that's citywide that has the political clout and a political strength to bring everybody back to the table to find common ground. Because when you look at it from a holistic standpoint, everybody wants this city to grow. Everybody wants this city to prosper. Everybody wants this city to be safe. And everybody wants to see the youth and our young people strive. We have a lot of things going in the right direction, such as the police department, but our educational system needs a lot of help. Our economic system needs a lot of help. We have a very small middle class of African Americans that's reflective of the population, and I think that's something that we have to address. And when you look at it from the perspective, you know, I'm saved. I'm a Christian. You have to forgive things that were said in the heat of battle. You have to forgive things that were said when you're fighting. You know, I did martial arts since 1972, and Eric O'Neill is one of my best friends. And I remember he knocked me out in the ring, the only time I've ever been knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so angry at him when he knocked me out. But when I got up and we thought about it, you know, we both gave it our best, and he won. It was to be the leader of our style. And it hurt me because I had been doing it longer than him. And my cousin, Ferdinand Bigar, invented Korobushi-kai, the first African-American karate style. And I was angry at Eric for a minute because I wanted it so bad, and I couldn't get it. And half the people in the dojo were supporting me, and half the people were supporting him. But we came to the conclusion that for Korobushi-kai to strive, we have to work together and bring everybody to the table. And we did. And we looked at it from the perspective, there's a lot of young people watching us, how we're going to react. And I think it's very analogous to what's going on now. You know, Mayor-elect Moreno, the city's watching her to see how she's going to embrace the people who were her opponents. And I think she has the wherewithal, and I think she has the sagacity to understand that 70% of the African-American community didn't vote for her. In order for the city to go forward, she's going to have to win them over. And I think she has the ability to do that. And I think she's putting a plan in place to do that. And I think it's going to take everybody to come to the table and come to some type of understanding that we have to do what's best for this city and for especially our young people. And we want to lead by example as leaders. And I think, you know, she's got the people in place to help her put that coalition together.
Well, the black folks who supported Helena Moreno strongly believe that she was the right direction, the right leader for the future, the immediate future. But they too have expectations. And I expect them to hold her accountable, knowing that she had their support. And I'm certain as time goes on, those who supported Royce Duplessis and those who supported Oliver Thomas will also hold the mayor accountable. There was a lot of excitement about the election of Mayor Latoya Cantrell, and after a heated campaign, but there were not a lot of people who said, I'm okay with anything she does, even those who supported her, and certainly those who supported Desiree Charbonnet. So the accountability piece remains in place. That remains in place. There's a celebration right now, Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, some today, but now the hard work starts. That starts with the transition, and definitely not saying anything about just let her do her thing. No, that's not what the city elected.
This is just my personal observation from being in politics since I was a kid. I think it's very important, especially looking at the people that supported Royce Duplessis, the elder statesman of our city, the Sidney Bartholomew's, the Lambert Boissiers, the Louis Charbonnets, the Don Hubbards. These are people that are respected across the board, across all socioeconomic stratospheres, across all races. You know, when you look at Sidney Bartholomew, he was someone that got the majority of the white vote. You know, so he is very well respected across the lines. I think he's the only politician I can remember that got the white vote to put him in one time, and then he got the majority of the black vote to put him in another time. So he crosses racial lines.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm pretty sure she's going to reach out to these elder statesmen for the healing process to start. Because, like I say, some things will say that was harsh, but in a campaign, you will have harsh things said. You know, and you can't be thin-skinned when you look at it from that perspective, because when you put yourself in an arena, you know, sometimes you're going to take some hits. Like I said, when you get in that ring, like Eric O'Neill was one of my best friends, and he knocked my head off. He bust my mouth wide open because we were in battle. And, you know, politics is not a physical battle like martial arts, but it's still a battle. And everybody wants the top position, and only the strong will survive. And she was the strongest. And she did something that no one thought she could do. She won in the first round. I mean, that's incredible. You know, that she brought a coalition of people together and actually got over 50% in the first round. That is very rare in this, you know, election cycle that we've had over the last few years. I think all the mayoral elections, with the exception of, you know, the second term when Ray Nagin won and Mayor Cantrell won, but I'm talking about like in the first round.
Right.
I can't remember anybody getting that type of support in the first round in recent years. So she's built a very strong coalition, and I'm telling you, she has some really strong ministers that have large congregations that they have a lot of influence on. She has some people in the political arenas that's gonna be able to reach out to some people that supported Oliver and Senator Duplessis and bring them to the table, because at the end of the day, we want to be a better city. And whether the supporters of Councilman Thomas or Senator Duplessis like it or not, she is our mayor. And we all have to come to the table as one and go in the right direction. Like you said, the accountability is going to be there. But I think the key is getting those elder statesmen in our community together and getting them to the table and picking their brains and trying to come to some, you know, middle ground. Because right now it's a lot of stuff is addlepated. You know, it's confused and muddled. You know, what next? We don't know what to do. But I think, you know, she has the wherewithal and the people supporting her to get this thing going right. Because the way you start is the way you finish. And so, you know, the first 100 days are going to be very important. You know, and we all know we're facing a serious budget deficit. So you're going to need everybody pulling in the same direction to fix that. That's got to be done, because that affects everyone. People that voted for her, people that didn't vote for her, people that didn't vote at all. That affects everyone. Mm-hmm. You know, and city services are something that keeps our quality of life at a certain level. You know, whether you voted for Councilman Moreno or not, you still want your trash picked up. You still want your house not to flood. You still want your electricity bills to be to a point where you can pay them. You still want to live in a safe neighborhood. So nothing changes. So it's going to be very interesting these first 100 days.
Well, and that 100 days won't start until January 12th. But so meanwhile, we got some weeks to go with a big budget deficit and a budget to take a look at. We're going to go to break, folks, and we've got a great show ahead for you. We are going to hear from Dr. Cheryl Martin-Skilled from talking about the annual Got Spirit event. So that is going to be a good, healthy conversation, so to speak, about stroke prevention through identification of risk and initial treatment. I know several people who have had strokes, and that identification part, so important, whether and when you catch it. And we're also going to hear from Dr. Simeon Bayham, retired professor of Dillard University. She is a part of the Louisiana Creole Research Association. And for all of we Creoles out there, they've got a conference just for us. Now, I said just for us, but really, anybody can go and learn more about Creole history and culture, especially with the Pope coming to realize he's one of us in a different way.
That's my cousin.
Yeah.
That's my cousin.
And we got Sarah Bell from Youth Force NOLA. And she's going to be talking to us about their 10th anniversary, 10 years that Youth Force NOLA has been around. So they're doing something right. So right after the break, we're going to be bringing in Dr. Cheryl talking about the God Spirit event. You're listening to WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Today, Mayor-elect Helena Moreno is set to announce the co-chairs of her transition effort, New Direction, New Orleans. It comes as she shares her goals for her first 100 days in office. Moreno says she's discussed the transition with current Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Her New Direction New Orleans team announcement is set for 3 o'clock today. New Orleans police are asking for your help finding a person of interest in connection with an illegal dumping case. Police say that Carla Hervey is a registered owner of a 2019 Nissan Armada that was used in an illegal dumping incident last week around Michoud Boulevard and Expedition Drive. Now, she's not currently wanted for any crime and has sought for information regarding the incident. You'll remember this summer, the NOPD began enhancing efforts to crack down on illegal dumping along Michoud Boulevard. All right, new details on the status of the consent decree for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. It comes as the NOPD consent decree appears one step closer to ending. Yesterday, a judge gave the Sheriff's Office 2 weeks to turn in certain documents. This allows concerns over a recently cyber-attack issue. OPSO claims the breach prevented them from, quote, providing plaintiffs and monitors with timely information required under the consent judgment. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. The banking industry is working hard to try to earn the trust of black households. Research from the McKinsey Institute for Black Economic Mobility shows that avoiding banks is costing black families money and could be a key contributor to the racial wealth gap. That's why firms like Greenwood could make a big difference. It's a black-owned financial institution helping to bring more black families into banking, and it's reinvesting in the black community. Ryan Glover is co-founder and chairman of Greenwood and talked to me about some of the creative ways his firm gives back.
When our members create an account through Greenwood, it provides essentially 5 meals to a food insecure family through Gooder. Each time you make a purchase, Greenwood rounds up the spare change to support HBCUs through the UNCF.
Glover's Greenwood co-founders are rapper and activist Killer Mike and former Atlanta mayor and U.S. Ambassador Andrew Young. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Hey y'all, make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. for The Room with Chef Bunny, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. It is 7:30. If you had to be there at 7, you late. And if you got to be there for 7:45 or 8, you're in good shape. But, of course, wherever you're going, if you're getting in the car and heading on out, what do we want them to do, Chief?
Slow it down and watch out for the kids.
Watch out for the kids. School zone, 20 miles per hour. Please, please, please. Keep them alive. They've got a lot ahead of them, and not just school. Well, we're going to get schooled today with Dr. Cheryl Martin-Skilled. Did I say that right? Martin-Skilled. All right, good. From New Orleans East Hospital. And this is a really important topic. We're going to talk about strokes in particular, and more specifically, the Got Spirit event that's coming up on Saturday.
This Saturday.
You know, one of the best things that she told me before we went online, I'm asking about the ticket prices, and she said, it's free, folks, free.
If it's free, give me 3.
But here's the thing. We're going to talk about some good information about strokes. We're going to talk about the Saturday event, but don't take a chance that you're going to be able to participate because there's limited space. So they definitely want people to sign up in advance. Dr. Cheryl, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you for having me.
So for those of our listeners who are meeting you for the first time, who are your people in there?
Well, so I'm Dr. Cheryl Martin-Skilled. I'm from New Orleans. I trained at Tulane and then University of Texas in Houston for my stroke fellowship, and then came back to New Orleans in 2008 to help build stroke in, at first, my city, and then subsequently the state. So I serve as the stroke medical director for the state of Louisiana, and I serve as the stroke and neurology director at New Orleans East Hospital and Toro Infirmary.
So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Metairie mostly.
Cool. What part?
I don't know, near Airline Park.
What street? Intersection.
Airline Park Boulevard.
Okay, all right, cool.
More importantly, what high school did you go to?
I'm a product of public school. I went to East Jefferson.
What? All right, go East Jefferson. Go East Jefferson.
And then Tulane after that.
Tulane. All right. Where'd all this medical education come from?
Almost all Tulane.
Undergrad
and
medical school.
Well, undergrad, grad school, med school, 5 years of residency, then 2 years of fellowship in Houston, and then 8 years at faculty at Tulane before starting my own private practice Dr. Brain Incorporated.
Well,
and you have a PhD also.
I do in neuroscience.
Woo-hoo-hoo, smarty pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
who's sitting over there. Okay, so let's talk about stroke. Yes, we got this event coming up on Saturday, but we got a pretty diverse audience out there. So I know there are people who are, say, in their 20s. There's some in their 30s. There are more in their 40s, 50s, 70s. And I know there are some people who, let's just say, they can't fit into the pants that they still have in their closet.
That's certainly a factor. Too many people think they're invincible.
Me. So where do we start with identification of stroke risk so that we can prevent having to see you and other folks like you? Because that's what you really want. You don't want people to be treated well with stroke. You want to prevent it.
True. While there are really good treatments for stroke if you get to the hospital in time, and we should definitely make sure we cover that, 80% of strokes are preventable. And strokes can happen to anyone at any time of their life. And the risk for stroke starts occurring even when you're a teenager. Even what you eat as a teenager contributes to your risk as a later adult. And that's part of why I'm a founding board member.
Now, you got to pause there. Yeah. Because I have to say, this is the first time I've ever heard that. And I try to be aware, at least top line aware of stuff. So that means if you're a mama or a daddy, you're the guardian or you're the grandmom, and you got teens in your house, what you're allowing them to eat and what you're serving them is going to have an impact on
100%.
their stroke risk.
Yes, the Bogalusa Heart Study was, I think, the first that showed that teenagers started getting atherosclerosis in their aorta that young. And when you think, at a time when you think that you're invincible, but it adds up.
Well, what kind of food should we avoid?
Well, of course, fried foods are not good for you.
Right.
But they're so good.
Highly processed foods, especially meats, are not good for you.
But they're so fast and save time.
The Mediterranean diet is what has been proven over and over again to extend life, to prevent heart disease, prevent stroke, and prevent dementia.
That is, I'm telling you, I'm a personal trainer, and I tell my athletes all the time, you can't outwork a bad diet.
You can't outrun a bad diet. Absolutely.
And the Mediterranean diet, I've gone to that diet, and I've literally been the same size since I went on police department in 1979, and I've been eating the Mediterranean diet with the hummus and those type of foods.
The fish, vegetables, fruits, especially the berries, nuts,
and it's
whole
grilled.
grains.
And it's grilled.
Grilled
I was going to
fish,
say, so when you say fish, you don't mean that wonderful, well-seasoned, fried catfish.
No.
I guess not.
But at some point, we all decided that what we put into our mouths is supposed to taste good. Now, the Mediterranean diet, for sure, tastes really good, especially after your palate changes.
Right.
But that's what nutrition is for, to give our bodies and our brains what it needs to optimally function, not just to satisfy us in the moment.
We got to eat to live. We don't live to eat. That's what I tell all my
athletes. I have to tell you, he's not saying that just because you're here.
No. Look at my breakfast right here.
Yeah, right
here.
I can tell from those arms.
Yes, spinach, kale, collards, and lemon. It's called Raw Generation. I drink 2 of these a day. I eat one meal and I drink 2 of these a day.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yep. So a Mediterranean diet, you tell a teenager, 13, 15, 16, you're going to eat a Mediterranean diet. It just might feel and sound kind of weird.
Well, that's why the
How do
parents
you
need
get
to
them?
lead by example.
Yeah.
And it's the awareness. So Heart and Hands as an organization, I'm a founding board member for. And it's all about empowering the next generation of mothers how to think about heart disease prevention, recognition, and response, so that when they become the leaders of their families, they will make, we hope, more conscientious decisions about what they're going to provide to their children and to their husbands.
Yeah.
And to themselves.
Right. All right, so let's talk about the more mature people, the folks who already ate whatever they ate through their teen years. Let's say they went off to college and they ate even more of whatever they ate. So they already got, let's say, 25 years of eating however they were eating without thinking about stroke.
Well,
Is
it's
it
not too late. No, it's not too late to get it together and start living a healthier lifestyle. But it's also super important to recognize your individual risk for stroke and do everything you can to lower that risk so that you don't leave your families too early or have them live the rest of your life with you severely disabled, because that is preventable and it's terrible when it happens. And it happens frequently. I think it's every 40 seconds someone in the United States has a stroke, and every 4 minutes someone will die. It's still the number 5 cause of death and the number 1 cause of having to go into a nursing home.
Wow. Now, fruits and vegetables are good for you. Are any fruits better than others, or any fruits bad for you because of high sugar content?
It can be challenging if you're diabetic and have problems with your glucose control, but the best choice of fruits for cardiovascular and brain health are the berries: blackberries, blueberries, raspberries. They have really high concentrations of antioxidants, which help to heal our arteries.
Wow.
Our arteries get scarred. Every time you smoke or you're around secondhand smoke or toxins in the environment, that coats your arteries as that blood moves through you. And then your cholesterol says, I want to try to heal that artery, so I'm going to put a little patch on that part of the artery that's injured. And then over time, when this happens over and over again, you end up with atherosclerosis, so that the inside of your artery gets narrower and narrower and narrower, and at some point can become inadequate to provide blood flow to the brain. And other times, a clot will develop on that abnormal artery and suddenly close it off. And when the brain doesn't get adequate blood flow, whatever part of the brain is normally supplied by that artery starts dying. And that's when symptoms come out. And the most common symptoms are going to be the be fast symptoms. So sudden problem with balance, sudden problem with eyesight, sudden weakness or numbness in the face, sudden weakness, numbness, or clumsiness in an arm or leg or both, sudden problem with your speech, or when you have a broken blood vessel, you might get a sudden, severe, terrible headache. And if you get any of those symptoms, the first thought should be, this might be a stroke and I need to call 911. Because during a stroke, every single minute matters. Up to 2 million brain cells die with every single minute. And we have highly effective treatments. But if you don't get to the right place at the right time, your odds of having an excellent outcome will go down. And at some point, the treatments are no longer effective. And that's it. Your brain's been damaged.
By you being an aficionado in this, I'm so glad you're here. I swear. There's a lot of misconceptions. Is fasting good or is fasting bad? Because, I hear from different doctors, different ideologies about that. And by you being so adroit in this, I really want to hear your opinion on that.
It depends on the individual. So if you don't have a problem with your blood sugar control, intermittent fasting can be a highly effective way for your body to learn when it needs to use up its energy and when it doesn't. It can help people with weight loss or with weight management, but in some people, it's not the right choice. The ketosis that develops when you're fasting can be toxic to some people.
Well, intermittent fasting, for those who not familiar with it, it's basically an 18-hour fast. The body is designed to process the food from the time you eat it, and it takes an 18-hour process. But I'm talking about like fasting for like 1 or 2 days at a time. That's the kind of fasting
I don't generally recommend that. I mean, there are people who do that for personal or religious reasons, and it's safe on a limited basis for most people. But that's not going to be part of your focus stroke prevention.
Well, the event is Saturday.
This Saturday.
At 8:30 a.m. Talk a little bit about that event, and let's say we've got lots of people listening now, and they say, well, I've taken notes, I think I know what to do. I don't really need to go to an event and hear more.
Let me tell you why that's not correct.
I
So-
got this. So, what's the difference between the information that you've shared here and what's going to happen on Saturday?
Great question. So, SPIRIT stands for Stroke Prevention through Identification of Risk and Initial Treatment. And it's all about empowering the individual to understand their individual risk. So it starts off at 8:30. It is an all-day event. It's 8:30 to 3. It's not an event where you just show up and browse and grab some pamphlets and leave and have a little bite to eat. At 8:30, we start with breakfast, and then you'll have 2 empowering lectures, one by myself and one by a stroke nurse practitioner, Lori Schluter, who's going to empower you with everything you need to know about reducing the risk of stroke, all the risk factors that there are, and then how to combat that. You'll break for a healthy Mediterranean lunch, and then for the next 1 to 2 hours, you'll visit different stations. And each station gives you new information, which you'll put on a scorecard. So you'll start off, you'll have a blood pressure, you'll have a heart rate, you'll get an EKG. And for many people, it's the first EKG they've ever had, which will look at
You're going to get an EKG
Yeah, you get an
Saturday?
EKG.
For free?
Yes. Then you'll visit a station
Sign
that you
me up
might,
right now.
Yeah, you'll visit a station where you get a height and weight, a waist hip ratio, which helps determine the metabolic syndrome. You will get transcranial Doppler, which is ultrasound of your brain vessels, carotid ultrasound, so you'll know whether your arteries have plaques in them outside of the brain or inside of the brain. You'll also get a lipid panel and a blood sugar assessment.
A lipid panel too?
Yeah. So you'll get all of these measurements, and then you'll get to meet with a primary care provider where you'll sit and go through the scorecard and say, look, like these things are really good, but this and this, these are not good. And these predict a higher risk of having a stroke in the next 5 to 10 years if you don't get it together. And while you need to see a doctor because you might need to have medications to manage these conditions, these are the things you can do and implement today and moving forward to immediately start lowering your risk.
Okay, that's the God Spirit event coming up on Saturday, New Orleans East Hospital. How do people sign up? Because they just determined I'm changing my plans.
Good.
I've got to be there. How do they get signed up, and how can they find out more?
So we're limited to 50 participants. The way to sign up is to go to the website noehospital.org/spirit. And at that website, you'll be able to sign up for the event. You sign yourself up. Get your husband to go. Or that family member who just thinks that they're invincible and continues to engage in things that are counterproductive for longevity of your brain and your heart. And have them have that wake-up call. It's an investment in you. It's an investment in your family. One thing I learned years ago is that part of being a good parent is leading by example. If you want your kids to adopt healthy habits and have a great potential for a long, healthy life, then you've got to lead by example. And so this is a really good first step to accomplish that.
Well, it sounds like more than just building on today's conversation. Sounds like some very specific, individual-specific information, identified possible risk, or, who knows, somebody might come out with a 100% score that you're good.
That's right.
But let's talk about what you've been doing so that you can do even better.
There's almost always room for improvement.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cheryl, for coming in today, talking about stroke generally, and in particular, the Go Spirit event, which is Saturday at 8:30 a.m. at New Orleans East Hospital. It'll be over no later than 3 p.m. And what is Go Spirit? It is stroke prevention through identification of risk and initial treatment. And get signed up, and you can get some good information from the speakers in the morning. You'll get a couple of meals. You'll get lipid panels, EKG, individual healthy readings and info. Oh my goodness! I mean, this doesn't happen very
and door
often.
prizes.
I'm
This
signing
does
up. I got the website right here.
This does not happen often.
No.
So thank you so much. I know we got to go to break, but we could talk some more about this. But we got to go to break. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
coming
having
in.
me.
Sounds like a wonderful event, and I hope everybody got that information and go to the website today. All right.
Yes.
Well, you're listening to Will Sutton and Eddie Compass. This is the Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 AM. When we come back, we're going to share some of the news and information you want to know, should know, might want to know, I didn't want to know kind of news and information. And we got more coming up in the rest of the show, including Dr. Baham, who's going to talk about the Louisiana Creole Research Association Conference. And we're going to have Sarah Bell from Youth Force NOLA. Incredible. They're celebrating 10 years.
Wow.
Celebrating 10 years, so that's great. But we got to go to break. I've gone over, so I beg forgiveness, Mr. Producer. But we are listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
More pleasant weather ahead. Lots of sunshine with highs returning to the mid to upper 80s. Temperatures ranging from 83 to 87. Again, lots of sunshine. That part's not changing. But by the time we do get to Thursday, we'll feel an uptick in humidity just ever so slightly. By Friday, definitely we'll feel that. Also more cloud coverage. Weekend rain chances for Saturday afternoon into early Sunday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I'm Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What a good and fruitful conversation with Dr. Cheryl about stroke. Make sure you sign up today for the very limited seating for the Saturday Ghost Spirit event. So you can go to noehospital.com. Is it .com?
Yeah, you know what that would cost if you had to pay for that out your pocket?
Know.
Oh, my God. I hope it's not too late because after the show, I'm signing up for it myself.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
exactly.
incredible.
That's a lot for so little that it's free.
Right. I mean,
free. 8:30 a.m. Might want to change my plans.
Oh, yeah. And she was so knowledgeable. And she didn't have a note. She did not have a note. This was all from the top of her head. I mean, man.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we've got a lot of things going on. And, you know, one of the big things is that we have a U.S. Supreme Court case in Washington, D.C., and that is going to be a pivotal time in the Supreme Court this morning. For those of you who have time, this case, which is a Louisiana case, the Supreme Court justices have reviewed the case dealing with voting rights. They have worked with their legal clerks and staff. They have heard from the lawyers on both sides of this. They this summer asked for a rehearing and update. That doesn't always happen. And they're going to hear arguments today about the Voting Rights Act and what should or shouldn't be done. So let me put it to you this way. You can listen and hear the line of questions, because these are extremely smart people, and they're not going to ask every question they could ask in the limited amount of time. But whatever questions they choose to ask, it's for a very specific purpose that they're asking the question. Listen closely to the question they ask and the response that the attorneys give, and listen for how the justices accept their response or challenge them on their response. This case will not be decided today, but this case is so pivotal because this is a case that determines whether we continue to have U.S. Representative Cleo Fields, based out of Baton Rouge, and U.S. Representative Troy Carter. So we could continue with those two gentlemen and others to follow them with the districts cut up the way they are in Louisiana. We could end up with one district that is, the common term is majority minority, and that would mean we would have one district in Louisiana where it's more likely, not definitely, but more likely that a black person would be elected. But there is a third possibility, which would be the districts can be realigned in a way that there is no likelihood of anyone black being elected in any of the several districts across Louisiana. That's how important today's hearing is before the U.S. Supreme Court. And it doesn't stop there, because what they decide is a case based on people who challenge this redistricting that have provided us with Cleo Fields in one congressional district and Troy Carter in another. And keep in mind, our Republican state legislature and Republican governor signed off on the districts that we have. They had a lot of ideas about it going in different ways. There were all kinds of different maps, but this is what they approved. The Republican governor and the Republican supermajority state legislature, this is why we have what we have. But in the short time since they have made this happen, to have two districts that are more likely for majority-minority representation, politics have changed nationally in a big way. And so they may be inclined, the state legislature, to look at this and say, well, that's what we did then, but we change our mind.
Well, you know, sometimes they don't look at it from a holistic standpoint. Now, you know what must have gone into the negotiations, the actual lobbying, and the conclusion of bringing everybody to the table and coming up with this districting for the Republicans in the Senate and in the executive branch to sign off on it. It is a very workable solution. It's something that wasn't done capriciously, arbitrarily, or vicariously. It was well thought out. And now, at this time, you want to reverse that. I don't think it's going to be something that, this is my personal opinion, I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but if you look at the history of the state of Louisiana and what we have gone through and what we've evolved to from a situation where we had very little African-American representation in the actual national branches as it relates to the Congress and the Senate, and now coming up with a situation where you have representation, and not just representation, great representation of two individuals who are highly qualified, seasoned politicians, have gone through every thing you can go through to become proficient and adroit at their craft. Proven history and record of achievement and success. So you don't have someone there that's not, performing at a high level. And so to basically try to mitigate and basically eradicate all of that hard work and all of that goodwill and all of the things that have gone into coming up with this compromise, I think it'll set Louisiana back to a point where I don't know how long it will take us to recover. So I hope the Supreme Court takes into consideration the totality of all circumstances as it relates to this and come up with a decision that keeps it in place so we have the representation that we need.
Well, that's going to be this morning, and just a little bit of additional context for those of you who realize how important it is and you want to look for more. That's the Louisiana versus Callis case. You Google that or search whatever search engine, and it will come up with lots of information. This goes beyond Louisiana. Depending on how this decision goes, we could lose 30% of congressional Black caucus seats, depending on whether this case stands up for voting rights or is altered a bit or is essentially weakened so much that it's nothing like what it was meant to be. A very important piece in the New York Times today, co-authored by Congressman Troy Carter and Congressman Cleo Fields, and the title is, "This Could Be the Last Stand for the Voting Rights Act." Wow. If that's just the title, imagine what they're saying in the piece, in the commentary. So take a look at that. There's so much going on, and we've got more to our show. We're going to talk a bit more about how the city comes together, whether the city comes together, whether the unity that Mark Morial talked about is possible and what would need to be done. That was all in the news yesterday, but we're going to see if we can get him on the line here at the Good Morning Show. Meanwhile, after the break, we're going to talk with Dr. Eva Simeon Bayham about the Louisiana Creole Research Association, and we'll be talking with Sarah Bell from Youth Force NOLA, celebrating 10 years. You're listening to WBOK, 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
I'm Esther Dillard with BIN News Now. Black New York Attorney General Letitia James is showing her support for New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani.
And I will not bow. I will not break. I will not bend.
James made her first public appearance Monday night. While she did not directly mention Trump or the indictment, she alluded to it with the remark, "I fear no man." James currently faces charges of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. The Young Republican National Federation is calling for some of its members to resign after a leak of a group chat. Political reports individuals referred to black people as monkeys and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. And California Governor Gavin Newsom is approving a slavery reparations agency. This comes 5 years after officials established a task force to study and develop reparations proposals for black Americans. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. It is 8:05 AM. If you were supposed to be there at 8, you are late. 5 minutes is late. You got to be there at 8:15. You might have a shot depending on how ready you are to walk out the door, get in the car, and go where you got to go. But 8:30, you're probably safe. Yeah. Just be careful. Watch the kids. And watch yourself and watch those other drivers. I'm sure each and every one of you, you're a wonderful driver. Yeah. Really good driver. Yeah. A+. Yeah. But, you know, there are other people in cars, and they might not be as good a driver as you. So please, please, please be safe. We are very happy to have Dr. Eva Simeon Bayham, and retired professor, sort of, kind of, from Dillard University. I tell you, when you see this sister, it's like, well, wait, I thought you were retired. I mean, I'm seeing her at Dillard. Wait. Yeah, I mean, you're going to class when, I mean, she's like all over Dillard and elsewhere. And I'm like, well, what kind of retirement is this? Yeah. Well, it is the retirement of Dr. Bayham, who is deeply involved in our culture and community. And she didn't retire from life. That's right. That's right. And she definitely didn't retire from our people. That's right. And that's part of what she's going to be talking with us about, this conference that is coming up on Saturday at 8 a.m. It'll be at Xavier University. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
welcome
you for having me this morning.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Good to have you here again. Yeah. So for the folks out there who missed you the last time, or maybe they've forgotten, tell us a little bit about who your mama is now.
Yes, well, in this case, I'm talking about the Louisiana Creole Research Association.
Yes, but who are you?
Oh, who am I? Well, I am. I have been in this area since except for about 5 years, since 1976.
Yeah, I graduated from high school.
Yeah, but I grew up in Southwest Louisiana. I'm a Zydeco culture person.
Where?
Out in a town called Welch, Louisiana.
Oh, Welch, sure.
And Welch is about the midway, somewhere, give or take a few miles, the midway point between New Orleans and Houston. It's a little town, so Southwest Louisiana is the cowboy culture.
All right.
And I grew up with rodeos, and
wow,
part of my life much of my life on a farm and in the small town. So we grew up with all the farm kind of thing, and then I went to college and married, and so my husband is from Slidell, so he fortunately was able to get a position out at the NASA Space Center in Mississippi. So we live in Slidell.
Yeah.
But my work life here, outside of working for 20 years at Southern in Baton Rouge, has been here in the city, which is what happens with people on the North Shore.
Yeah.
There are some people there who like to think that, oh, I'm going to New Orleans, and New Orleans is over there. But I tell you, I'm having to come to work here for many years. And, of course, in the last 7 years of my career, I was here at Dillard. But I can tell you that the North Shore comes here every morning.
Yes,
and you
absolutely.
Can see in the traffic.
Yeah, for those of you who don't think that, just drive over closer to the water. You'll see all those cars and trucks coming over.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're all. I mean, that's where the traffic jams are, and they're coming into the city. So there must be a love for the city here, and certainly I do. I love living. Living in the region and in the area, and I love working here and coming here, and it's one of the most exciting cities in the world.
So we're going to talk some more about the conference, Cultural Migrations, Creole Origins and Communities, coming up on Saturday at Xavier University. But with all of the buzz that happened with I'm going to say it this way, with the Pope finding out about his Creole heritage, what has that been like since that's happened? I mean, the Louisiana Creole Research Association didn't pop up because of what's happened with the Pope.
It's quite
been around for a while.
Yeah, this is our 21st year in the conference with the Louisiana Creole Research Association. But that was quite an exciting moment. Thanks to Jari Honore, we have to give him all the credit for bringing that to the world.
Yes,
and so there was lots of talk among people that I knew and that we're speaking with in the association, and quite a lot of excitement because, of course, with the culture here in South Louisiana, not just in New Orleans. And since I'm from Southwest Louisiana, I can speak to from here, southeast, all the way to Southwest Louisiana to the Texas border. It's largely Catholic, and so therefore you'd have a lot of interest in this topic. And also because Black people, if you will, African descended people, which is what many scholars like to refer to people with the African descent, then and being marginalized, it is quite exciting to know that there is someone who, not due to anything that he did, but would be so connected to our culture and our community. So this is quite an exciting moment, as in not only Creole culture but African descended culture at large. Creole culture is part of an African descended culture as well.
My grandmother always told me, if you don't know something, ask. So I'm going to ask you something.
All right, I hope I can help you.
I hope you can help me because my grandfather is from Cuba.
Okay.
And, what is the actual definition of Creole people?
Hey.
Because people are always telling me, my family, we Creole, but my grandfather came from Cuba, and my mother's family is African American. So what is the actual definition?
So many people like to pigeonhole one definition. There is no one definition. Okay. Creole is a culture, and there are people who are Creoles in West Africa, particularly as we speak to our Senegalese ancestors and some who are there. There are Creoles all over Latin America and the Caribbean, and certainly here in South Louisiana. And so it's a culture, and it defines itself largely. Many people, of course, because of its French and Spanish backgrounds, are Catholic. Oftentimes there are variations of a Creole language.
Right.
And so we learn from, if you ever want to check him out, Christophe Landry and others. Christophe Landry works for, or does genealogist, has several degrees and the like. But others, he has promoted what is an original language, an indigenous language among Creoles in South Louisiana called Corivini. And that's, pardon me, that's just, that's an amalgamation of languages, if you will, but also its own language here. And so that's what, because some people will say, oh, it's broken French. It's not broken French. It's its own language.
My great-grandmother spoke that.
Mhm.
And when they didn't want us to understand something, they would.
Well, let me correct you on this. It's not that they didn't want you to understand it. Because when one loses one language, then you lose much of your culture. There are expressions in languages, in one language, that there are no expressions in the other. But that is rooted in the 1920s here in Louisiana, when the state of Louisiana, seeking to encourage more Anglo, meaning business, industry outside Louisiana, to come to Louisiana, began legally, passed laws to say that you could not speak Creole, French, in public places. You at least not necessarily just speak it, but you couldn't use it. So documents were now mostly in English. Schools were prohibited from teaching children in their own language, in Corivini and in Creole. And so parents then, particularly, I would say, as we look at African Americans, parents then knew that for their children to do well, then they had to adjust and they had to speak English.
And that's what.
And so we lost. We have generations now who my father spoke Creole, and my older sisters and people who, many people in Southwest Louisiana. And actually, if you want to find the French-speaking people in Louisiana, you go to Southwest Louisiana. That's where the majority of them are.
Yeah.
But I don't have a hint of it. And so as I study it, I have to study contemporary French just to try to get back to my own culture.
Yeah, because my grandmother was very adamant about that. She wanted us to speak English. But now my sister, she became bilingual. She speaks Spanish. And my daughter and two of my daughters are bilingual. They speak Spanish. My grandkids, matter of fact, my daughter moved to Costa Rica for 3 years, so her kids could learn. So it was real confusing for me when I was young that my great grandmother, my great grandfather wouldn't teach me.
Well, that was why, because the schools then were punitive oftentimes to children who came to school and did not speak English, and I saw that in Southwest Louisiana, which, as you know, is largely rural.
Right.
And I saw that with children who would come to school and who had not heard English before, and they would be teased. Teachers would sometimes, some teachers, not all, would treat them very badly to force them to speak English. So parents who wanted their children to do well would stop speaking their native language to their children. And I read recently another person who said that. Another scholar who said now they started teaching, meaning the school systems, started teaching children a foreign language. They call French Creole. They call that a foreign language when it wasn't a foreign language. It was an indigenous language. And we have a few of our members of the La Creole Research Association who still speak fluently.
Well, you solve a mystery for me that I've been trying to figure out my whole life. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, a lot of people do think that.
Yeah.
They do think that, they didn't want us to understand.
Right. That's
not it. The state passed laws that prohibited teaching children in French in their schools or even communicating, and state documents.
Wow.
Public documents in cities around had to be written in English. And that was a process that had started long before then.
Right.
But then in the 1920s, laws were passed. And so parents were faced with going to see teachers who spoke English and who expected their children to speak English. So I would like to say to you and to others that many of our parents who value education but also wanted their children, as every generation does, want their children to do far better than they did, gave that to us.
And she would emphasize that she only had a 6th grade education.
Yes.
But my great grandmother raised me. And it always confused me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I always say that they were some of the smartest people in the world.
Oh, she's the most sagacious and perspicacious person I've been around my entire life. Oh, trust me, my mama. Ooh,
yeah,
she the one.
All right, so that's a little background on Creole, and you know, I have continuously responded when people have asked me, "Are you Creole?" I say yes.
Yeah.
But then they say something about race, and I'm like, well, that's where I need to hit pause,
right?
Because Creole is a culture.
It's a culture.
It is not a race.
Right, and some of that has some credence in how many people saw certain groups of people who looked a certain way, had a certain hair texture and the like, and I always go back to Southwest Louisiana, and the Louisiana Creole Research Association has had conferences which looked at the different expressions of Creole in South Louisiana. And so you'll have people, like my father, as I say, he used to say, "Oh, I'm a good Frenchman," meaning he didn't say Creole, but he was a very dark-skinned person like I am, and all his family grew up, rooted in the Opelousas region. Creole, just like anything else, is a culture. On the race issue, science has proven that there's no such thing, and no such thing as a biological construct of race.
Right.
To do that, we'd have to be different species of human beings, and we aren't. You're either human or you're not. And I like to refer to myself to say that I have O-negative blood, and which is a universal blood type.
Right.
Okay, my husband, my children, all of us have the same blood type, and if someone with a rare blood type or anything needs blood, then my blood is good. Right. So this whole notion of different species is just silly.
That's totally ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and it's no such thing. We have a social construct of race now.
Right.
That is what humans created to divide.
Right.
And it's all based on the idea, and I want to go too far because I give you a lecture here, but it's all based on the idea that at the top of the construct is white and everything else. So you get all these ridiculous things like quadroon and mulatto, which is all offensive today. It's stupid, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the conference. We're going to have to go to break soon. Want to make sure people know a bit more about the conference.
Yes.
So it starts at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Saturday. Ends at 5 o'clock. Full day of good information and data, but also some fantastic people are lined up to speak at your conference as well.
Yes, and we have, as you said, just a remarkable lineup, if you will, of people who will speak and who will share information. And when you come to our conferences, you come to learn. And so we have Wendy Godin, whose text that I have a copy of here, and whose Sunset Limited and Autobiography of Creole, who grew up whose family rooted in Southwest Louisiana, but grew up in California. So we'll have people like her and Fatima Sheikh. We also have Dr. Glenn Chambers from Michigan State, who will talk to us about how the movement, because our whole conference is about migrations. So how the movement of peoples from South Louisiana into, particularly Southwest Louisiana, into Southeast Texas made a culture there. They brought the religion, they brought the language, they changed. In Southeast Texas, we're talking about from the Louisiana-Texas border in the south, Beaumont, all the way to Houston. He's going to talk to us about that. Fatima Sheikh has a very, very interesting and unique story on migration. She is talking about what's rooted in her paternal line, where there were these men from India who came into Louisiana, settled near the 7th Ward, and that's her heritage, but also that of several other people, married women in the 7th Ward of New Orleans.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a migration, and in migration story.
Right.
That's unique that we don't always hear. We will have Deborah Donato, who lives in Chicago, but whose family is from the Opelousas region, left in the 1800s. I think she said it's her grandfather who was active. He signed a petition along with others from New Orleans. I think the founder of the Tribune, Rudnay, and others, who signed a petition to Abraham Lincoln to at least have free men of color to vote. Mm-hmm. And then after the Civil War, was pushed out of his home with his family in Southwest Louisiana, so that they because of the masses of people who were massacred there, and he was fighting for civil rights there. So her migration story is very interesting because they left in the 1800s.
Right, right.
And then only to discover in the late 20th, in the 21st century, I think, that they had roots there. They, with a name like Donato, they were, considered Italians. They didn't go to become, quote unquote, white. They moved there, and apparently people assumed.
Right.
And they were running from the horror here. Wow. So we have, we have those. We also, quickly, we have Dr. Faustina DeCross from the San Jose State University, who's going to give us this we're excited about as well. She has done research and published work on how these Creoles, particularly from New Orleans, moved to places like Los Angeles and in Northern California, and brought their social organizations there. At least one person told us that their parents belonged to, in talking about this, a club in Los Angeles called the Autocrat Club West.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're excited about hearing
my
that.
mom's family is one of those families.
Wow,
that
really?
moved from brought the Black Creole culture from New Orleans to California for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Not all of them good reasons, but necessary reasons.
Yeah.
And so we have Creole cousins, aunts, uncles, and so through the generations, they've been to New Orleans, but they grew up out there, with that culture.
Mm-hmm.
But the parents wanted to make sure that was a part of it.
Well,
we're going to have to end and go to break.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that people know you can go to lacreole.org, and find out more about the Cultural Migrations Conference being sponsored by Louisiana Creole Research Association. Get more information at that website. Put that on your calendar of consideration. And it's also going to be available on Zoom. So you can go to that website and find out more about going live and in person and hearing from these wonderful people. But I will say one of the things that will be wonderful about this experience is you'll hear from these incredible scholars, these researchers, these experts. But part of the value of the conference will be the people like you attending, because there are any number of people who will be there who could be up front talking about some of these
we
things.
Share a lot.
Yeah,
we
right.
share,
So there's a lot of shared information, shared experiences, and you can find out more about the Creole culture. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Sarah Bell from Youth Force NOLA. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Listening to WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Start your day off right.
Just getting your day started.
Early morning gospel on WBOK.
Good Wednesday morning to you. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Today, Mayor-elect Helena Moreno is set to announce the co-chairs of her transition effort, New Direction, New Orleans. It comes as she shares her goals for her first 100 days in office. Moreno says she's discussed the transition with current Mayor LaToya Cantrell. Her New Direction New Orleans team announcement is set for 3 o'clock today. New Orleans police are asking for your help finding a person of interest in connection with an illegal dumping case. Police say that Carla Hervey is a registered owner of a 2019 Nissan Armada that was used in an illegal dumping incident last week around Michoud Boulevard and Expedition Drive. Now, she's not currently wanted for any crime and is sought for information regarding the incident. You'll remember this summer, the NOPD began enhancing efforts to crack down on illegal dumping along Misha Boulevard. All right, new details on the status of the consent decree for the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office. It comes as the NOPD consent decree appears one step closer to ending. Yesterday, a judge gave the Sheriff's Office 2 weeks to turn in certain documents. This allows concerns over a recently cyber-attack issue. OPSO claims the breach prevented them from, quote, providing plaintiffs and monitors with timely information required under the consent judgment. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites. Then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Tremay, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
Looking to join an organization that is committed to help promote economic development in New Orleans East? Look no further. The Greater New Orleans East Business Alliance is a member-based nonprofit organization made up of business owners and local professionals united for the purpose to promote business development in Eastern New Orleans. If you want to become a member, call us at 504-957-3568.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. I know we have your heads buzzing with all this good information, conversation, and talk about important issues. But we got another set of issues and information for you coming up right now. I'm Will Sutton. With me is Chief Eddie Compass. And with us today, representing Youth Force NOLA, we have Ms. Sarah Bell. And so, Sarah Bell, this is something we do, but I can't help it. Sarah Bell.
All right. You got a shout out just because of your name.
That's nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Warm welcome.
Yeah, right. So one of the things we like to do is have our audience get to know the people that they're hearing from a little bit before we get to talking more about Youth Force NOLA 10th anniversary, the incredible things that you all do. But before there was a Youth Force NOLA, there was a Sarah Bell.
Yes.
Who's your mama in there?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Pennsylvania.
What part?
Near Harrisburg. Small town near Harrisburg, so South Central.
I worked in Pennsylvania. What town?
Dillsburg is where I grew up. York County,
I
Pennsylvania.
know York County.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Been in York County.
Yeah,
okay.
Small little town.
All right.
So I lived in Atlanta for a few years, and my husband and I moved to New Orleans in 2006, a year after the storm and the levees broke.
And you came anyway.
We came anyway. We were called here to do some community support, really helping local communities and nonprofits in their rebuilding efforts. And we thought we'd be here 2 or 3 years. We bought a house. We had 3 kids. We're still here.
All right, good job.
Yeah, so we love it. This is home. We've really, felt embraced by the city. So, yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how long have you been with Youth Force NOLA?
6 years. I just had my 6th anniversary last week.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Get on that bell.
Sounds like you like them and they like you.
Yeah, it's a good fit for sure.
Yeah. Well, with 6 years of experience, you've gotten to know a little bit more about Youth Force NOLA than when you were considering joining the team.
Yes.
So tell us a few things about those wonderful things that you and others do at Youth Force NOLA. I do want to ask how is Story doing? Because her dad and I were in high school at St. Aug.
All right.
I know
2600. The connections are somewhere everywhere.
They run
but,
deep.
So Story's doing well.
Story's doing really well. She's our director of internships, so she works on my team. She's fantastic. Love her.
All right, so let's start with internships.
Yeah, so internships is one part of what Youth Force NOLA does. It is our direct run program. We have been doing internships since 2015 when we first started, so all 10 years of the organization's history. We started with 18 interns. This summer and this past school year, we supported almost 275
That's amazing.
young people. Yeah,
more than 200.
Exactly.
Wow. That's incredible.
And the kind of structure of our internship hasn't changed much. So we take students, we give them about 60 hours of work readiness and soft skills training. So really understanding what it's going to be like in the world of work, kind of developing and improving on those soft skills, time management, communication skills, because those skills look different in work than they do in school or at home. And then after that training, they are in the workforce. So we've partnered with over 250 local and regional businesses over our 10 years to support this internship program. 110 hours over 5 weeks. So it's nearly full-time. WBOK hosted interns this summer. And it really gives students an opportunity to put those skills to work in a supportive environment. All of our interns are going into their senior year in high school. We think it's really important for them to kind of test the waters, understand what it's like to get up and go to work every day, build relationships with local professionals before they are out of high school. To really support, it's work-based learning. So it's a place where they can make mistakes and get really good feedback and learn before they have a job that their rent depends on, right?
So the internship is the summer after junior year and before senior year.
Correct. Yep.
So not you've just graduated, here's an internship.
Right.
So it's like you've had this summer work experience. Now you're going to be a senior having had these set of experiences that you might not have otherwise had.
Yeah, exactly. And we hear from our school leaders is that our interns come back their senior year walking a little taller. They're proud. They've gained some confidence from this experience. And they have some money in their pocket, which is great for them, too.
Yeah. Probably changes their idea of what they want in the 2, 3, or 4 years after high school.
That's
after having this experience.
Exactly. And that's really what we hope is that students, kind of the ideal progression in high school is really to get a lot of career exposure when they're in 9th and 10th grade, really learn what's out there, what jobs are available in New Orleans, in the greater New Orleans area. Then they can kind of fix their schedule to get some technical training while they're in 11th and 12th grade. Maybe they take classes at the New Orleans Career Center. My son is a junior at Warren Easton, and he's in their engineering coursework. So he goes to the New Orleans Career Center every day, every morning, and then back to Warren Easton for his core classes. And then between their junior and senior year, they get this work-based learning experience. So they're putting those technical skills into practice, also those soft skills. And they're going back their senior year for additional education, at their home school or at a training provider. And then after they graduate, maybe college is the next best step for them. Maybe going to work is the next best step for them. But they have options because they've had these experiences. And in internships, sometimes they're in a placement and they think, this is exactly the direction that I want to go. Sometimes they realize this is absolutely not what I want to do, and that's still a win, right? I'd rather them figure out, that they want to go into medicine, but they really can't stand the sight of blood when they're in high school than after they're tens of thousands of dollars in debt in college. Like, figure it out while you're young, while you still have some options and can make some moves. So, yeah.
Well, I think a number of people in New Orleans are, familiar with the concept of 2 locations in high school for some students.
Yep.
Probably the best known that people are familiar with is NOCA.
Sure.
So you go over to your high school, and then you go to NOCA, or you go to NOCA, and then you go to your high school. But it's just one model, one example, and there are other situations like yours where students can have a different set of experiences with the 2 locations. So what's your experience with youth moving from one place to another? And because there's a transition.
Yeah.
And that certainly is a part of adulting. These transitions in life and moving from one place to another for a number of us. But it's not something that your average kid is doing on any given day, because you go to a place for school every day, all day, 5 days a week, except for holidays, from kindergarten to 6th grade to 10th grade to, on. But this is different for them.
Yeah, it's, it is a model that we know can work. And it's a model that I think allows our young people to really kind of live into their potential, right? Like, they are learning time management in a different way. They're learning how to interact with a different set of adults depending on where they are. A really great aspect of not only going out of school to the Career Center, but also in our internship program, is they are working with students from all different schools. So they're not siloed and only knowing the students at their school, but they're really learning how to communicate with students from across the city who maybe have different experiences. Maybe they're rivals on the football team. I don't know, but they have to learn to work together, to solve problems together, to communicate well. And so the more opportunities like that we're giving our students, the better prepared they're going to be after they graduate.
Great.
I got 2 questions.
Sure.
First one, how do you pick the kids? Is there a certain GPA you have to have, or a certain recommendation from a counselor, or how is that done?
Sure. For our internship program, there is not a GPA requirement. There is an application. It's competitive. We have more young people apply than we are able to accommodate. But there's a written application, there's a video interview, and then we have a team at Youth Force that scores all of the applications. And we really are looking for commitment, making sure that young people are wanting to do the program, not just being told that they have to. We want to make sure that they are open to growth, that they're okay getting feedback. So we ask questions about a time where something didn't go as well as they thought and they got some constructive feedback. How did they respond? What did they change in their approach? But we would love to serve as many students as possible. We bring them all of our interns to the Pan American Life Building in the CBD for the training. It's a great venue. They've been an amazing partner for several years. But that's an opportunity to do all of our work-based or our work readiness training, and size of the venue is a limiting factor. We've chosen to have that training in a high-rise office building instead of a school because we want it to feel different than school. We don't want their behaviors and their expectations to be exactly like they are every day of, in school. This is different. We want them to rub shoulders with Morris Bart in the elevator and learn how to navigate a different environment. So we're really strategic in the placement, so they have these extra experiences. But no, we're not taking the cream of the crop. We know that work-based learning is great for everybody and can really help motivate a young person where school might not come as easily as it does for others.
What are some of the student success stories that personally stand out for you?
Well, one is my own daughter. I will say she was one of our interns 2 summers ago, and generally a pretty shy young lady, and had an internship and really went back her senior year with a lot more confidence, making friends with folks at her school that she hadn't engaged with as much. And she wasn't sure she wanted to go to college. And in her senior year, decided to kind of do a switch and go to college. And now she's really thriving at Southeastern. And I contribute a lot of that to just the experience of getting out of her shell, meeting new people, kind of being forced into different environments in her internship. But we also have several interns from different schools who have gone on to medical school, are now nurses at Auctioner, who are financial planners with local businesses. So the 99% of our interns either go to college or work after graduation. They're earning 99%.
Whoa.
So higher than the average.
Well, you get more bells than anybody. You've ever
Yeah,
had. I'm telling you.
It's a good start. And from our surveys of our alumni, they are earning $6,500 more a year than their peers in Louisiana. So what we're doing
right there, those couple of things, that's part of the reason this is so competitive.
Right.
What parent wouldn't want their kid to have that experience, to be doing things that are going to help them become better human beings and get a little money?
And get a little money.
Win-win all the way around.
It is. And, we're really fortunate, I think, at Youth Force NOLA to be really at this intersection of schools and businesses, training providers, because everybody's believing in the potential of these young people, but we just help coordinate the efforts. Our district is set up in a unique way, and economy of scale is not something that individual schools can often get to when it comes to career-connected learning. So we just help bring all the pieces together so that young people have the opportunity to do the things they're passionate about, to get the training that they can in high school at no cost to themselves or their families, so that they're set up for success in whatever comes next.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're going to have to take a break. And thank you so much for coming on, Ms. Sarah Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
That was great. Wow.
Congratulations on making it to the 10th anniversary.
Thank you.
And congratulations on moving along from 18 students to well over 200.
That's incredible.
And it really is.
That's
it really
impressive.
is.
That is really
Especially
impressive.
for what those young people are getting and experiencing. Imagine if all of our kids were able to have that experience.
Wow.
Graduating from high school and going on to community college or straight into a job or a 4-year college. I mean, it would be a different kind of thing for the city.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it really would be a different kind of thing for the city if we were able to.
Let's do it.
Have that.
Our listeners on Facebook talking about how phenomenal your kids are. They've walked in. This lady said she walked in. Your kids on 11th floor. They're tremendous.
That's great.
I mean,
to
that's
hear.
incredible.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep. And
Thank you, Ms. Talia.
That's what you want, and that's what we want. So thanks again, Sarah Bell, for joining us from Youth Force NOLA. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the news of the day, news you want to know, need to know, should know, and maybe some things you didn't know that you wanted to know. But we're going to talk about that before we close out the show and get ready for the front porch right here on WBOK. 12:30 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
More pleasant weather ahead. Lots of sunshine with highs returning to the mid to upper 80s. Temperatures ranging from 83 to 87. Again, lots of sunshine. That part's not changing. But by the time you get to Thursday, we'll feel an uptick in humidity just ever so slightly. By Friday, definitely we'll feel that. Also more cloud coverage. Weekend rain chances for Saturday afternoon into early Sunday. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Tired of the impersonal one-size-fits-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
You're invited to step back into New Orleans history for Community Day at the Dewdrop Inn with Tulane University's Special Collections, presented by the Primo Memorial Series. Saturday, October 18th from 12 to 2 p.m. Celebrate the Dewdrop Inn legacy with a live musical show. Enjoy a brunch buffet and explore archival materials. Free admission, but space is limited. For more information, visit library.tulane.edu/Dewdrop Community Day.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What a delightful conversation with Sarah Bell talking about Youth Force NOLA. They made it to their 10th year. That's no easy task, and made it to the 10th year with significant growth.
That's incredible.
From 18 interns to more than 200. Oh, man, and the programming just sounds awesome. So we've got a number of things to try to squeeze in before we get going. You know, one of the things I mentioned was that Louisiana Supreme Court case. I want to make sure that you all know that that starts at 9 a.m. Central Time. You can hear it from the Supreme Court's website. That is the supremecourt.gov, not com, not org. supremecourt.gov, and there's a button you can press that says live oral argument audio. So that'll be starting soon after we off the air or as we're ending. But right now, let's hear from former New Orleans Mayor Marc Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League. Good morning, Mr. Mayor President. How are you?
Well, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to WBOK and the WBOK listeners. Great to be on.
Well, I had the opportunity to go to Mayor-elect Helena Moreno's news availability yesterday afternoon at the Ritz-Carlton on Canal, and you were there joining her after a private meeting talking about her transition and next steps, and I'm sure that was a very rich conversation. You talked about some of it because it was more of a personal, private conversation between the two of you all. But one of the things that really struck me yesterday was that you called for the city to come together. You called for the city to unite. And having been a experienced politician and public service servant, you know campaigns can be rough, and you acknowledged that yesterday, that there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, but you want the city to heal. And Mr. Mayor, I know how much you love the city. I live here. Chief Eddie lives here. And there is a lot of pain. There is a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt feelings. And among Black folks in particular, we've gone through weeks and months of having families, church members, and others split among these candidates and feeling very strongly about these candidates. But now we have a winner. And you spoke to that yesterday, and I wanted you to share with our WBOK audience.
I appreciate it. So, we should always remember that victory has 1,000 fathers and 1,000 mothers, and defeat is like a fatherless and motherless child. And that is the way it is after a contested election. What I think is important at this moment, and this has been my position on the three, this is now the fourth person who succeeded me as mayor. I've made this call for unity consistently over the years. At this point, what is important is the best interest of the city. You've got a lot of challenges out here. You've got to get the economic development posture of the city straight. You've got to work on infrastructure and public safety and youth programs. But mostly, you also need a new confidence in government. From visiting over the last few years, the erosion of confidence in city government, separate from the individuals who lead the government, the erosion of confidence has been really, really stark to me. So I think the call for unity is, look, it's important for people to understand the government as a whole. You've got the mayor. You're going to have 7 city council members. 5 of them have been seated already, and then you have 2. Well, 5 are African American. So you're going to have a majority African American city council. So to people who may be concerned about the mayor and the fact that the mayor is not African American but is a Latina, I would point to the fact that you've got to look at the totality of the leadership of the city when you think about whether an agenda, and this is what's important above and beyond personalities, is going to be carried out. These elections, when you lose, and I acknowledge yesterday I lost my first election, I was not in a good mood for about a week. Then I had to wake up, and I brought all my supporters together. This is when I ran for the Congress in 1990, and brought them all together at a big event and said, "Look, we're gonna move on and work to fight another day." And of course, the rest was history. I got elected to the Senate, 2 terms as mayor, now at the National Urban League. So I think it's important that people recognize that we now have a shot. The city is in trouble, and this is no knock on anyone, given the challenges that New Orleans faces today. But the opportunity, there's significant FEMA dollars still unspent. There's a $500 million bond issue on the ballot in November that would create a strong pool of money to do street repairs and playground upgrades and infrastructure and housing. The job of the mayor is going to be to execute on that, make that happen beyond personalities and how we feel. Can the new mayor, the mayor-elect, and I think she's got, I've known her for 25 years. She covered me as a part of the City Hall press corps. I'm not a close ally, a friend of hers, but I do think she put together, and everyone's got an impressive coalition. It was impressive. She got 1/3 of the African-American vote. That's, for the most part, in a contested election for a candidate who's not African-American in the last 50 years, unheard of. She had a solid support among the city's white, Latino, and Asian voters as well. She put it takes a coalition to run the city, period. And those who don't know because they don't know because they've never sat in the seat, never been in the chair, never been faced with the challenges that one faces. So I hope that there'll be some healing going forward, but also that there'll be by her, and I shared this with her, focus on getting the best people to work for her, diverse administration, people who are committed to the city, people committed to the public interest, people not there for their own deals and to feather their own nests or their own beds. And that happens in politics all the time. So I think this is what is so important. The second thing is you've got a state administration that seems to time to want to play old Louisiana politics, us against them, people who don't live in New Orleans against New Orleans. It's time for the governor and the people around him to cut that out. And I say cut it out because this state has to be united too in purpose going forward. New Orleans is the crown jewel of the state of Louisiana. You go all over the world. People know New Orleans. They may not know a lot about Louisiana, but they know New Orleans. Its culture, its people, its viability, and that investing in it, building on it, is like fueling an engine that will benefit the entire state.
We just have a minute.
Long and hard.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, when you took over, crime was a big problem. You did a yeoman's job and made us the national model. You did fantastic. This is not the case at this point. What do you think is the greatest challenge that the new mayor is going to have? Because crime is definitely not one of the big problems. What do you think is
Let me say, but Chief, public safety, it goes up, it goes down.
Yes, sir.
And when it goes down, you can't say this is a permanent state of affairs. So you got to continue to invest. And what I hope is, and you know this, there's a need for additional police officers. The force is not large enough, which is why they've had to spend a lot of money on overtime, and it's created some of the budgetary challenges they face. And then secondarily, I think I'd like to see, and you, Chief, were part of this and a big proponent of this when you were both a commander and deputy chief under me, and then later chief. Youth programs. We need a lot more investment in young people, a lot more investment in after school, in recreation, in cultural programs. I think is a really, really important thing. And then I think quality of life issues, housing, and the affordability of housing are issues that this new mayor is going to have to participate in. But never sleep on public safety and crime, because it'll come back and bite you.
All right. Well,
sometimes these trends are there. But look, Chief, I just want to say to the public, I appreciate you. I told someone yesterday that Eddie Compass was one of the best commanders, district commanders New Orleans ever produced. And also a great police leader. So, Will, it's great to see you back in the city, and part of the thought leadership as a great journalist that you've always been.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we got to go. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, President.
God bless you.
Thank you for your time. We hear your message and your advice and counsel. We'll be working at it, but it's going to be hard for some of us. And harder for some others. So we look forward to that healing process and achieving the unity you'd like to see. Folks, you are listening to WBOK 1230 AM. Up next is The Front Porch. I'm Will Sutton, and next to me is Chief Eddie Compass. Lord willing, we'll be back for another Good Morning Show tomorrow morning. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.